They're just opening. Is this like their unboxing? And no, you can't easily make money. You don't have the criteria. You have to do this shit for a year before they'll even approve you for monetization. This needs more dislikes. We need to give them a sense of reality. Can I just say Witch Watch has been an absolute treat to witness? You have last week's episode, which was super wholesome. You're like, it's really nice seeing that Moy as well as Nico are actually legitimately progressing in their relationship, right? Like, they're actually making a decent amount of progress a lot sooner than you would typically expect, especially in a comedy-focused series. And then episode 7 says, hey, listen, we know it hasn't been like the overall funniest stuff in the past few episodes, still humorous, but not like roll on the floor. So let's just go peak crackhead energy. We're gonna let them start a YouTube channel. And honestly, they actually had something by the end, and they just got lazy and failed. But prior to them succeeding in their Let's Play endeavor, they had just an abomination of YouTube videos. It was so bad. And I'm not necessarily saying Moy's friend who isn't a friend was like magnitudes better, but if we're looking at the two setups, he definitely had more to work off of than they did. And then the Freaky Friday stuff. I thought it was going to be a full-on body swap. Instead, it was basically him controlling her like a robot. And I'm like, the show's brilliant. They continue to introduce characters at a steady enough pace to keep the cast dynamic, fresh, and exciting. But they also don't introduce so much that it steps on the other characters' toes and then they feel underutilized. And not to mention, whatever they designed for that video game, the grasshopper sliding game, it basically made me think of Frogger meets Goat Simulator. So Frogger, the game, you cross streets and little river streams and you just try to get as far as you can before the frog gets hit and you die, right? Like, that's basically what that game was. It was like, okay, avoid getting hurt, so there's spikes on trees. And the way it works is it almost had Goat Simulator physics where it was very clearly hard to control, not only because the ground was covered in slime, but probably because the controls were ass too. And honestly, all I can think of is if you made that an actual video game and throw that in an arcade, I'd probably lose $5 playing that game. It actually looked fun enough that, kind of vibe with it. And I love how ADHD the cast is. Nico recognizes she has a singular brain cell, and I really appreciate that about her character. But, Buddy here, the way he needs to be on Ritalin or something, and just the fact that this poor bastard was showing his videos. I mean, I can tell I don't have ADHD because I wasn't to the point where I felt the need to speed up his video. And I'm sure probably half the people watching this episode felt the need to speed it up. And if you did, it probably means you have a hard time focusing. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but Jesus, man. I don't know. It was funny because I figured what we were building into is we were going to take the two sides and they would help compensate for each other's shortcomings. And they kind of did that, right? Like, you obviously have Nico, who's kind of like the charm, the personality, the cute aesthetic that brings in the viewers. That's why she was in all the thumbnails. You have the idea of editing and how to produce stuff from our boy. And then obviously too, we have like the gameplay stuff, which, he tried to do, but he kind of did it shittily. The funny thing too is the way they had their content prior to redoing it and making it a little better for YouTube. Some of their videos and ideas would have worked well on TikTok. So I've actually seen this, especially on the gameplay side of stuff. If you just show gameplay on TikTok, it actually will do worse. If you were making a gameplay or like on YouTube, you want it to actually be properly game captured. You don't want like your camera like recording the screen. Like, it's not going to do well. On TikTok, it actually would. Like, I've seen different people like film their TV and stuff, and it actually makes the video stand out more on TikTok than it does, if you have a proper game capture. Different platforms have different styles to work with. And honestly, some of their stuff would have been okay with minor tweaks on TikTok. Though for YouTube, oh god, it was awful. Like, maybe in the first couple of years of YouTube really getting going, it might have been okay. But yeah, that shit, it deserved the dislikes it got. I gotta be 100%. But they had fun with it. And honestly, I felt for our boy, like, he killed himself to help their YouTube channel take off. And his reward was like, yeah, we're bored of it now. The next time they have a great idea, he should just give them 2 middle fingers and say, you're on your own. But honestly, I think that YouTube stuff was probably my favorite, like, pure comedy thing I've seen in this show so far. It beats any reference. It works so well and it plays to all of the show's strength. And then when it came to the second part of episode 7, I really like the idea that, this girl has like this very harsh grandma. She's like super strict. And I really thought it was going to be Freaky Friday body swap. And initially when it's like, oh, you're going to control her hands and stuff, I was like, that's going to be way harder than just switching bodies. I didn't realize we're going to have like camera glasses and it'd feel more in first person. So I was like, oh, okay, this should go smoothly. Oh boy, was I wrong. I thought we were gonna give Grandma a heart attack from scaring her so much that she thought we were possessed, because the way he was like jiggling the door and she was freaking out, and she came in walking like she was Donkey Kong. Like, I thought we were gonna scare her so bad that she said, you know what? I'll never judge you again, girl. Instead, no, she flunked her ass. The idea of like, okay, well, he doesn't have something to pick up, and they didn't have time to rehearse, so I get why there's a lot of fumbles. But it's so funny because he's like, well, this is a cookie. I can chew and swallow it. Apparently that candy, you can't do that. It's got an interesting reflex. And just the fact that the most beautiful thing this woman's ever seen was the swatting of the bee. It looked more like a hornet or a wasp, if you ask me. But like the idea that was enough to pass. And, she's like, okay, so I got this other thing coming up. And he's like, screw the hell off. I'm not doing this shit anymore. Moy is my spirit animal, man. Like, he just gets me. Last episode was good too, but yeah, my main enjoyment was definitely episode 7. But like I said, it is nice that they actually are progressing the Central 2's romance a lot sooner than I think a lot would. And honestly, the fact that I feel like we're not beating around the bush with a lot of stuff, like, yes, it still is taking a bit longer to naturally get where I think we all know it wants to go, but it doesn't change the fact that it doesn't still feel like what most of these shows would do, which is you could watch any of these episodes in any order and you would feel these two's relationship is exactly where it started out by the end of episode 1 or 2. No, I legitimately do feel like they have grown quite a bit, and while maybe sometimes at face value it could appear like they haven't, the actual development they have undergone in a very short amount of time has actually made their relationship a lot more interesting than I was expecting. And then you add in all that comedy stuff and you just have a recipe of crackhead energy romantic success, and I'm completely here for this one. But you let me know what you thought of the past couple of episodes of Witch Watch, and do you agree with me that episode 7 might be the best episode? Because I definitely think so, but your thoughts. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and of course we do have those full live reactions over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Christoph Stanislavski, JMW, Tokyo, Adam Johnson, and we also have Kyle Tolbert. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and do your friends a favor. If they ever go to their way to help you, whether it's to build a YouTube channel or something, and it all starts taking off and you feel the urge to be a lazy bastard, maybe ask them if it's okay to do so before you just shut it off, because your friends might punch you in the throat otherwise. Have a good one.